Hi guys, welcome back. And becoming a property developer with no money down. That's the topic for today's video. Now on the internet I've seen a lot of videos going about saying how to become a property developer with essentially no money down. Is that a thing? Is it possible? Can I just wake up tomorrow, for example, and decide I want to be a property developer with no money down? Can I do that?
Well, the short answer is no, but there are ways to becoming you can become a property developer, and there are ways that you don't sort of use your own money. And when we say property developer, obviously there's different levels. You can be talking about, getting a single sort of house, doing it up and selling or whatever, or you can get into multi-house, or you can get into big developments. There's different levels. We'll dive into it. I'll tell you guys what sort of my take is on it, and what's the sort of best way you can essentially raise money, raise funding to do developments, and we look at all the aspects. But short answer is you can't just wake up tomorrow and become a property developer with no money down. There's no course. I don't think if anyone tells you they'll sell you a course that after doing the course you can become this, that, or the other. I wouldn't trust that.
Okay. So you spoke about different levels of development. Let's begin with that first. What are the different levels of development? You mentioned about houses, multi-houses, and big developments. What?
Yeah. So it just basically depends on the level of funding that's going into it.
Okay.
Now, the traditional way is, you get some money together, through your job or whatever, and you use that money to then go and buy a distressed property, which is below market value. Then you go and add value to it. And I need to sort of explain this adding value as well, because we had a couple of questions. So just in brackets, so adding value to a property, say for example, if you're buying a property which is 100,000 and you're spending £20,000 on it, and the property is then worth 120,000, you haven't added any value. You've just spent an additional 20,000 on the property.
Okay.
When it comes to adding value, you got to make sure that the money that you spend brings you more return on investment. So if you're buying a property for, say for the sake of argument, 100,000, and you're spending 20,000, you got to make sure that the property is then, after the changes, is going to be worth 140, 150.
Okay.
That's when you add value. So going back to the first point, so the traditional way is obviously people who had jobs or whatever, and they want to become property developers. They get some money together, then you go and buy a house which is obviously distressed or below market value. You add value to it, and then you sell it on, make a profit, and then reuse that money, buy your second one, and then just grow. And obviously as your money goes up, you can do bigger projects, you can do block of apartments and stuff like that. So that's how it grows. Now there are ways obviously to speed up that process and not do the traditional way, and obviously have bigger funding available to do bigger projects. Now, the only way I see how you can sort of get into that, raising funding for a project without your own money, is by becoming an expert. So, for example, if someone comes to me and says, I want, if you got X amount of money, I've got this project. So basically, if someone comes to me with a package deal,
Yeah.
I look into them before I invest into the project.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you got no background in property and you don't have the knowledge and you don't have the experience,
Yeah.
then chances are no investor is going to sort of invest, and then you can't. If you can't raise the fund, then you know you can't do any projects, and you can't become a property developer without any money down. So what I would say is the first thing that anyone has to do to become, not just in property, in any sort of industry, if you want to be able to raise funding to do a project, you have to, if you don't have the money yourself, then you have to have the knowledge or the experience. So what you got to do is you're gonna have to go into the property industry and work there and become an expert, whether it's in sales, whether it's in build management, whatever it is that you want to do. Once you've got that experience, then you can always look out for deals. There's so many sort of deals in the market at any one point, and then what you got to do is you got to package these deals up, and then you take it to an investor with the CV that you've got. And I can assure you there's a lot of investors and developers who are looking for decent projects to do. And they've got the money and they might not have the time to manage it themselves, or they might not, so what they'll do is they'll sort of invest the money, and you can obviously do the build and manage it, or sell it, whichever one is your expertise. So you're saying that I'm bringing to the table my expertise. This is what I do. I can build it, manage the build, sell it, and then you invest the money, and then we do a split on the sort of profits. And if it's something that is going to make the investor money and they're comfortable with your profile, then chances are they're going to invest. And that's the only way I see someone becoming a property developer with no money down, personally.
Well, going back to the point of having the knowledge and the expertise before investing money, even if it is your own money, I guess it's a no-brainer. You've still got to have the knowledge and the expertise to then go and invest money. Otherwise, there might be stuff you don't know about or whatever. But okay, looking at investors then, what are the ways about, how do you go about finding an investor, for example?
So it goes back again to my point. If you're not in that industry, chances are you wouldn't have the connections to find someone who's got an interest in the property and who has enough money to sort of fund the project for you. So again, it goes back to my original point. You have to be in that industry. You have to start from somewhere. Learn the ropes, become an expert in one or more fields in that industry, and then once you've done that, then obviously in that meantime, when you've worked in that industry, you get some connections as well, and then what you do is you just sort of put everything together, your CV, the project that you're looking to sort of raise funds for, and what you bring into the table, and you take it to one of your connections, or a connection who knows someone, and then see if you can raise funds for the project.
Okay. Now in terms of the size of a project or a development, is this achievable at any size?
It's achievable at any size, but then again, so say for example, if I've started my career and I managed builds that are like 20 or 30 units, and then I put a proposal together for a project that's 200 units, and I take that to an investor and I say I'm going to manage the build, then they're going to go, you don't have the expertise to manage it,
Yeah.
and chances are you're not going to get that money. So to start with, you've got to sort of be able to raise money for something that you've already done, and then once obviously that relationship is built, you can always grow it.
Yeah.
There's always obviously going to be bigger steps than others, like going from a refurb to a new build. That's gonna be a big step compared to, you know, if you're doing 10 unit refurbs to 20,
Yeah.
it's different to doing 30 but all new build.
Yeah.
So there is gonna be big jumps in the way, but you know, once you've built that relationship and once someone's made money from working with you, then it's easier to get them to invest into a little bit of an unknown rather than what you already know.
Okay, so just to recap, to get into property development with no money down, first of all, you've got to have the knowledge and the expertise within the property sector, within the property industry, and whether that's working in sales as in estate agents, or maybe would you say working alongside the already existing developer, getting experience?
Anything, you know, obviously, just like I said, it goes back to that original thing that people who are selling courses
Yeah.
and telling you can become property developer, you know, after a weekend course or 2-3 day course, that's not, you know, you're not gonna
lie. Don't buy it.
Yeah, you can only gain the knowledge through experience. Now, the more if you've worked in an estate agent and worked as a builder, or, you know, a build management or project management, if you've done all those stuff, then the more you've done, the better your profile is, and the more chances you have of, you know, raising investments for projects. So, you know, entirely, or you can become an expert in one field and go, for example, you package up a deal and go, I can sell these for X amount of money.
Yeah.
Because I've done this, that and the other. With regards to build, I've spoke to this contractor who's quoted this amount.
Yeah.
That then, you're then adding the contractor's expertise to yours and then packaging that up as a deal. So you don't have to know all of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, the more you know, the better it is.
Yeah, and the easier it's going to be for investors.
Yeah.
So becoming an expert, growing your knowledge in the industry, then looking for opportunities for investors to take to them, and then, like you said, building packages, building the opportunities for these investors and approaching investors, should have a network of connections already by that point anyway. But let's say, for example, you've worked in the industry, and this is the last point. What would you recommend any ways of finding investors?
There's a lot of ways. Like I said, most of the time, it's gonna be hard to find an investor who
trusts
online, you know, and find someone online who trusts you and goes, yeah, I'll invest in that money.
Yeah.
But obviously, if the top lines of what you're proposing is good, then meetings can be had, and, you know, you can go through the details and see what's what, and, you know, if they're interested, they can get involved. But from personal experience, I think through your connections, so if you worked in that industry for 3, 4, 5 years, you're gonna have a lot of connections by year 4 or 5 anyway. But you can always obviously branch out to people, chat to them, not necessarily to raise investment, but, you know, get to know them, just say this is what you're doing, and, you know, try and build that rapport over a good couple of years. And then obviously when the time comes and you've got a project and you're ready to sort of take the leap and get into development, then hopefully by that time you got some equity to put in as well, which is always better because you got skin in the game. So regardless of, it's not about how much, it's about you know, if a project costs, I don't know, £1 million, and you've got 80,000 to your
Yeah.
name, if you go and tell them that, yeah, out of that I'm willing to put X amount in, it's just a bit of skin in the game, which
Yeah,
means
gives you a
you've
bit
got
more-
something to lose as well as
Yeah,
the
it gives you a
investment.
bit more
Yeah.
credibility and makes you a little bit more trustworthy, I
Yeah.
guess, because they look at you and go, well, if you're willing to actually put your own money into it, then
Yeah,
I'm willing to walk the walk with you.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
going back to that cliche saying, back to who you know, it's not, it's your net worth is your network is your net worth, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
That
yeah.
cliche saying.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys. That was how to essentially get into property development with no money down. We'll create a list of the points in the description below, and if you've got any questions, make sure you comment it down below, and give us a like and subscribe on the channel, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.